All right, folks, how you doing? So now that I've effectively dealt with that simp, King Simp, Dr. Kirk Honda,
Classic Virgin.
it's time to get back to the roots of the channel. So in this presentation, we're going through When Did Jews Arrive in Scotland, Part 3. As always, disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And once again, this is all straight out of When Scotland Was Jewish. The Protestant Clergy. The book now focuses on the influence of the Protestant Reformation across Europe and the perception of Jews in England. The authors state that the Protestant clergy began learning Hebrew in the 16th century because they were crypto-Jews and believed strongly that the Old Testament was the Word of God. The Malungian Church. So the authors view the re-emphasis on the Old Testament as a return to the Torah. Well, effectively is the Torah, with Protestantism being a thinly veiled excuse for crypto-Jews to simply exercise their true faith. They also point out that in the Malungian church practiced in the Appalachian area of the US, where one of the authors was raised, though I don't think the book actually states which one it was, during Sunday school, 11 months out of the year were focused on the Old Testament. Just a little bit one-sided, a wee bit lopsided, just a tad like. The Septuagint. So the book states that Greek was the most common religious language amongst the Jewish diaspora communities, and that the Septuagint, translation of the Hebrew Bible into Greek, remains in use amongst the Greek Orthodox Christians today. Rabbinical literature from classic times was composed in Greek, and Greek-speaking Romanite Jews from Asia Minor mixed with the Ladino Jews of Iberia, which intermingled their languages and cultures in the Ottoman Empire. The Marranos. Now, before we go any further here, I don't know if this term is offensive or not. And there's also another term, Jewess. And I put both Marranos and Jewess in inverted commas because I'm directly quoting out of the book. That's the reason for that. These are not the terms that I am casually using, to summarize the book. Those are actual terms from the book, just so we're clear on that point. So the book now shifts focus to Britain's crypto-Jews and the Marranos of Spain and Portugal. The term originated just prior to the Spanish Inquisition and gained traction in the 16th century, describing crypto-Jews throughout Europe and the Americas who had been persecuted out of Iberia. The book describes them as operating in commerce, industry, with wealthy, again, Jewesses, their term, not mine, marrying impoverished European nobles. They soon held very high positions in government, medicine, law, universities, and their children held, quote, high ecclesiastical honours. Very interesting. Prince William of Orange. So Prince William of Orange, this was also happening in Britain, of course, by the late 17th century. Prince William of Orange, very likely Jewish, according to the book, I would say unquestionably he was, claimed the English throne from King Charles II. The Sephardim of England, Ireland, and Holland backed him completely, with his campaign culminating at the Battle of the Boyne in 1690. Sir Josiah Child. So in the early 18th century, the Sephardim were engaged in trading diamonds, coral, and silver between Europe, India, and South America. And we've seen this before in previous presentations to do with like Glasgow and were valued highly in England. Champions for Jewish rights were growing in number. Sir Josiah Child, possibly a crypto, possibly. No, he absolutely was, if you ask me. Even pushed for their full reintegration into British society. John Toland. So the book also mentions John Toland, who published a treatise to Britain's bishops and archbishops, advocating for the protection of British Jews in Parliament. Toland emphasised the abuses Jews in England suffered under the Norman kings and under King Charles II after Cromwell's readmission in the 17th century. So getting back to it here. Okay, so Toland also brought up that a good number of these Jews fled to Scotland, mentioning their aversion to pork, black pudding, and in his words, quote, this is straight from the book, other resemblances easily observable, which is a sentiment the authors agree with. Now, it's quite funny that reading that whole bit about the black pudding, because I remember there's a scene in Outlaw King where the Black Douglas is talking about, you should try my black pudding when he's bleeding a cow. And yet, bear in mind everything about the Douglas family and Clan Douglas in the previous presentation. So that was a bit of a gaffe, you know. But, you know, no movie is perfect, you know. I mean, for a Hollywood movie, it actually got more right than I got wrong. But the idea of Douglases sitting down to eat black pudding, given their lineage, you know, as, you know, Jews, or crypto Jews, if you like, you know, they're not going to touch black pudding, clearly. And this is what they're getting at here. And the other part here, other resemblances easily observable. What you mean, like curly brown hair and brown eyes, for example? Is this the other observances easily, or what was that again? I wondered when I was 12, like, you know, where are all the blondes at? You know, we're right next to Scandinavia, and we don't not really seem to have that many blondes walking around. You know, then you read this, and you're like, oh, okay, falls into, I get it now. You know, you wait long enough, and the universe answers you eventually. Anyway, hope you got something out of this. Take care, and I'll see you next time.